Welcome to the Rotojoes Fantasy Football Podcast. Guys, we're back. It's post-Super Bowl. It's 2023 time. We had a really good 2022. We're 2 years in. It's time to start hitting the ground running. I think we're going to see a lot of fun improvements and a lot of better work. I mean, even this year, draft prep-wise, a day into it, I feel way more confident about how I feel about players than I did last year the whole time. So that's good. I'm excited for this year. Before we start getting into the meat and potatoes of the episode, let's talk about a dynasty trade that went down today. Coming off of Derek Carr signing a 4-year, $150 million deal with New Orleans, I moved him, Hunter Henry, and Jerick McKinnon for Davante Adams, the 309 and the 409. Which side wins?
I'm going to have to go. I mean, if you look at both of the rosters, it makes sense. I didn't feel like this one was as lopsided as everybody else did, but I think the Davante Adams side is going to be the one to take in that. I don't love him this year. They're going to have to make some kind of massive stride in the quarterback department for me to be very excited about Davante Adams this year, but it's still Davante Adams. It is a super flex league. This other team was particularly needy at quarterback, so I understand the move. But here's my thing with Derek Carr this year is he's downgrading in a situation, and it's unreasonable. As excited as you can be about it, to be to think he's going to do better in a downgrade. Oh, that's just all plain and simple what it is. He's not. I mean, they got a better quarterback, yes, but he is downgrading in situation. Sure, he has Olave, but who else? Michael Thomas ain't gonna play but 5 games a year, maybe. They're downgrading in the run game. They're downgrading. They don't have Darren Waller. They don't have a Hunter Renfrow. A lot of weapons he's used to having that he's just not gonna.
They have a Jawan Johnson.
Yeah, that's the only person Andy Dalton could fucking ever find. So,
yeah, I liked both sides. It made sense for both teams. I'm generally not. I like Derek Carr, but he was just way. To get Davante Adams for him, even right now, is pretty ridiculous. And so that's something you got to jump on. I have Aaron Rodgers. Where does Aaron go? Hot takes. Where does Aaron go? I've got to go.
I think at this point I'm more leaning towards him staying in Green Bay.
I've got a good one.
I think the more time that passes, the more likely it is that he stays there.
I really think New York honestly looks like they end up with him. I think they're going to give up the 13th pick. Maybe more than that. Maybe some players. I think Green Bay's ready for Jordan Love. They have to figure that out this year. They've got to figure him out. New York's the best situation for Aaron to win a Super Bowl that he can go into. I like Washington, but there's questions about the organization.
Yeah, of course there is.
I don't think him staying in Green Bay is going to work out well as a whole in terms of production and team success. They'll be all right, but probably no. I mean, they're not going to be what they were 3 years ago or 2 years ago. They'll be more akin to.
I think that the problem with Aaron Rodgers isn't Aaron Rodgers. It isn't the compensation. It's that $50 million fucking a year contract that he's sitting on. That is going to be an absolute nightmare for any team to swallow. I mean, granted, there's going to have to be some kind of, partial payment from Green Bay, so on and so forth. But his cap hit, I don't know what his cap hit is, but it's got to be astronomical.
Yeah, I think it's 45, 50 million.
Yeah, so you're talking about, unbelievable amount of money to try to move in a trade. So that's why I don't think it'll work.
Yeah, I can see the Jets doing it. I haven't looked at their cap situation, but they have a lot of young contracts. assume they could figure it out. You know who has a lot of cap room is the New England Patriots.
Why would you do that?
That would be, I would love that. I doubt that happens though. All right, let's get into it. News or noise? First time in a long time we've played this. News or noise? The Ravens will give Lamar the non-exclusive tag this offseason.
I'm starting to think that's going to be news. I think that is here's the deal. You've been negotiating this contract for 2-3 years now, even. It's not going to get done. It's not going to get done without a change of heart by somebody, and I bet you it's not going to be Lamar. And why would he? Why should he? I mean, you got Deshaun Watson out there showing his pee-pee to anybody that'll look at it. He don't have an MVP. He don't have playoff appearance. Well, he does have maybe one playoff win I can remember. There's no reason for him to take a dime less than Deshaun's getting. And the Browns fucked the whole league doing some shit like that. We all know that. And that's fine. But he shouldn't take a dime less than Deshaun got. And I think they're kind of realizing, okay, so we're apparently just not going to do it. I don't know why. Because that's something every team, aspires to do, is get a franchise quarterback, get that guy, get, the guy you can build your team around. And then you get him and, oh, damn it, now we have to pay him. Kind of ridiculous front office work by the Ravens, but yeah, I think they're going to end up doing it. I think, and like I told you earlier, there's 25 teams in the league that should probably line up to give him 2 firsts for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
24, 25-ish, somewhere in that ballpark.
I think if he does get that non-exclusive tag, it's going to blow up in their face. Washington, I read that there's rumors that Dan Snyder wants to pick up Lamar to hopefully save his ass, because he'll have to put down a bunch of money for the contract. The other owner, if they bought it, they bought the Washington Commanders. And if a new owner bought the Commanders, they'd have to pay that payment. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be 10% of probably about $500-600 million on top of buying the team, with 10% of the team purchase amount going into a bank account as well. So they're just going to fuck themselves. It's going to go from like $250 million, $300 million to like $400 million, $425, like some astronomically crazy amount, because he's worth it.
He is.
I mean, if you're the Commanders, why the fuck not? Even the Colts. Like, if you're the Colts, if you could just be like, yeah, I can solve my quarterback problem right now for 2 first-round picks and not have to worry about it, sign me up.
I agree, and I think that's one of those situations where every NFL front office, you said it really well, who doesn't have a Herbert, Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Burrow, or Allen, needs to seriously sit there and think, can this benefit our team? And 25 of them probably should say yes, and then it shouldn't even be a conversation. You got to give up whatever it takes to get him, in my opinion. Now, I'm not really 100% certain how that all works. Like, is it so you become a restricted or non-exclusive, so someone can offer you a contract at that point,
So
and
it's like,
take it, then they can match it or not, and then get the picks, right?
yeah, it's like NBA restricted free agency, but if you accept, you get picks back.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
You can match.
But like those teams, with multiple first rounders over the next few years, like, can they pick and choose, or does it have to be agreed upon, or blank first round picks, or?
And I think with that being said, if I'm the Lions and this happens,
yeah, dude,
back up the Brinks truck. Fully guaranteed, Lamar, you write the check. All right, next up, Chris Olave is a top 12 redraft wide receiver with Derek Carr coming to the Saints.
I mean, I like Olave a lot, but I'm gonna have to go noise on that one. I can definitely see him majorly stepping up. There's no doubt in my mind he'll have wide receiver 1 games, but I just don't see the consistent play. I mean, Derek Carr is Derek Carr. You know what I'm saying? He's not like, I'm trying to think. He's not like a Trevor Lawrence type of talent. He is a very solid quarterback.
He's more Kirk Cousins-y.
He's very Kirk Cousins-y, and that references came to light quite a bit with him over the last few years. So I think Olave is definitely going to take a step up. I like Olave a lot, but I don't know if we're top 12 quite yet.
I agree. He was wide receiver 25 in points per game last year. 4 touchdowns on the year last year. I'm sure that goes up. I can see him being a solid wide receiver 15 to 18. I haven't done rankings yet. I'll do that here soon. I bet that's where he falls. But I'm not sure if I'm ready to go top 12.
I'm not. And, if it was the Sean Payton and Drew Brees Saints, sure, fucking fire it up. I mean, but it's not. And it's just a bad situation getting worse with time. I mean, took a slight step forward today, but they've got a long way to go.
So here's a funny tidbit, completely off topic. Russell Wilson has been blowing up Drew Brees, and Sean Payton is not happy about it.
What do you mean?
Russell calls Drew Brees. Russell Wilson calls Drew Brees every day, and Drew Brees doesn't want to talk to him. And then Sean Payton hears about it and thinks he's weird. He gets annoyed about it because who does that?
It's just weird. Russell Wilson spent the last 3 years just trying to do too much.
He's on a one-year audition allegedly, and if it doesn't go well, he's done next year. They're just going to cut him and draft a quarterback in 2 years.
Cut him and suck up that fucking contract?
Next year, it's not that bad.
Hmm.
It would be a 1-year cap hit next year, if I remember right. All right, Geno Smith will not finish his 3-year deal out with Seattle.
Oh, I highly doubt he does, but good for him for getting some super fucking money. I was very happy to see that one. He's a guy who's had kind of a hell of a time in the league. Started with the Jets, kind of sputtered around a bit. Ended up in a situation where no one gave him a shot. He went out and performed very well and got paid. Good on him. I think a lot of it's front loaded too, which is exactly what I would want if I was him. I mean, he's got to realize where he's at. He's mid-30s, I think, at this point, and hasn't really gotten paid ever in his career. So that was a smart move by him and his agent. And but no, I don't think he finishes the whole contract. Absolutely not.
No, good for him. I'm always in favor of dudes getting paid. And if someone was like, I'll give you a 30 or $100 million deal, I'd sign it tomorrow, right now. But ultimately, I think he falls back to earth. I wouldn't be shocked if they grab a guy like Anthony Richardson at 5, let Geno start for a year or two, and then it's the Richardson show. I'd be shocked. Last up, Matt Stafford has played his last NFL game.
I've been saying this for I don't know how long. As soon as I figured out that neck was fucked up, that's what I've been saying. Those neck things are no fucking joke. And I believe this one is going to be news. I think he's got to have some kind of miracle rehab to, be able to take a hit and not. I mean, the neck thing, man, those guys could end up paralyzed. That's the kind of gamble you're taking when you play with severe neck injuries. So it would probably be best for him to retire. Love Matt Stafford. Like I said before, grew up watching the guy. He's a Dallas, Texas fella. And we're actually not that far off in age, which is sad. But yeah, I think that one's going to end up being news, and very well should be. He needs to take the person approach and bow out.
Yeah, source said the guy could barely throw last year. Retirement's not out of the question after before the neck. Here's my take: they draft Hendon Hooker in the 3rd round after another reset year for the cap. They end up rebuilding into a really good team around Hendon Hooker, who is
I like that.
Jared Goff, but more athletic.
Okay. Yeah. I don't hate that.
All right, let's talk some combine takeaways. First off, the star of the show, Anthony Richardson. He runs a 4.43, sets a modern record for vertical jumps for quarterbacks. He made himself a ton of money. However, what's his pro outlook in your opinion?
Man, it's a real tough one for me. We kind of touched on this a little bit the other day, but I feel like his pro comp, we're looking somewhere at an absolute ceiling, in my opinion, somewhere between Lamar and Josh Allen. And that is absolute best case scenario, falls into a good system. And the floor could be, Josh Johnson. That's really what it could be. Landing spot's going to mean a lot for him. Who coaches him is going to mean a lot for him. Supporting cast is going to mean a lot for him. He is an absolute freak athlete, and he went out and made himself a lot of money this weekend.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready? All right, here's the deal. Under 600 career pass attempts and only 393. Under 75 quarterback rating, 70.6 last year. Less than 3,300 passing yards in his best passing yard season. No 35 touchdown year. Under 8 career yards per attempt. He only had 54% completion rating for his career, 59 total, and had an interception rate over 2%. His was 3.8. He's not even an outlier. He's so far out that it makes Josh Allen look like a good prospect, which he wasn't. He was an athletic freak. I could see Richardson being fantasy relevant for some years.
Yeah, absolutely.
NFL quarterback. No, he's a real NFL quarterback, yes. I don't think he becomes Josh Allen or Lamar. I think he's not going to be the passer they are. He's going to get exposed in the NFL, but that doesn't mean he won't be an athletic freak that's super fun to watch. That like a late career Cam Newton, but healthier and faster.
Yeah. Here's my take on Anthony Richardson is I feel like the potential is there clearly, and I think a lot of his issues as far as accuracy and all that, it's all fixable. What he does have is the things you can't teach, so to speak. So all the potential in the world's there. That's kind of why I default to the who's he playing for. He's gonna be a top 10 pick. It's almost book it at this point. And I don't think there is that real true like offensive guru if he doesn't go to Detroit.
Yeah. And I don't think I think I'm out on Richardson. I just think I don't like him. And if you do like him, he's going to need some development time. So you might well wait to trade for him. Mm-hmm. So I think he's a guy I'm avoiding in drafts. All right. I really like this dude. I might trade up for him. Darnell Washington. set the third fastest shuttle drill time in draft combine history. The shuttle drill is a drill for tiny, small people, not 6'6", 270-pound tight ends. I have him, and it's not a play style comp as much as it's like the idea of how he plays. But I have him as the next Kittle type tight end, where he's a really good blocker and he has receiving value too. It's going to be different. He's not a yak guy like Kittle. Darnell Washington is going to be a red zone monster. He'll be a Jason Witten type first down guy, 20 to 20. But once he's in the red zone, he's going to feast. 6'6", elite athlete, great blocker. He made himself a lot of money. I wouldn't be shocked if he sneaks into the back end of the first round. A West Coast team that needs a tight end, you're going to like that guy a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a guy that was on my radar prior to the combine, but now he's unfortunately on everybody's radar. Yeah, he's got everything you want to see from a fantasy standpoint for sure. There's a lot of teams that could use that. And when you look at his actual physical profile, he's not a whole lot bigger than Kelsey, but goddamn, he's faster than Kelsey.
Yeah, he ran a 4.64.
Yeah, I mean, big man can move, and that's kind of what you want to see. I'd love to see him go to one of those teams that might be slightly deprived at receiver, not necessarily bone dry like a Ravens team, but I'm trying to think of one that's going to be at the back end. Damn, I really can't think of a good reference, but a team that kind of maybe needs a little bit of receiver help, and he gets in there and just eats it up.
Detroit.
Detroit has plenty of receivers.
Chark's gone.
Is he, though?
I bet he is.
He might be.
All right. Levis and Stroud show off major arm talent throwing sessions. Where do we think Levis is?
For me, I got Levis at 3, but I don't love him at 3. It's just kind of the way things fell.
I liked him more after diving into the numbers I liked him more after diving in than before, but I have questions. He is more like where does he go? If he goes to Carolina with Reich and that offensive talent around him, I like Levis a lot. The Colts, I like him not quite as much. I want the Colts to trade up for Young. I think he fits what Steichen tries to do. All right, last up in the combine takeaways, Bijan. Not quite the athlete we thought he was.
I think that's an overreaction.
I mean, he has good numbers, but they're not quite that like elite. I think he's going to be an elite running back. Don't get me wrong. I just beat 4-4.
Jesus Christ.
All right.
I keep there with the fucking clicker, aren't you?
All right. Let's get out here. Let's get out of here with our top 5 post-combine quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. I'll start with my quarterbacks. Number 5, I have Anthony Richardson looking like a career backup. Number 4, Hendon Hooker, high floor starter. Think of like a Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins type. Will Levis, high upside pick. Could be the next Josh Allen / Justin Herbert. Could be the next Zach Wilson. We don't know. I have C.J. Stroud as an elite plus talent, meaning he could be a top 5 player at his position. And then I have Bryce Young as an elite plus talent. Bryce Young's the top 5 quarterback to come out in the last 10 years, in my opinion. So there's my top 5. Where are you at, Kaden, on the quarterbacks?
For me, it's very close. I got Hooker at 5. I agree with you. I think he is going to be could end up blowing up at some point. Just depends on where his opportunity ends up. Richardson, I'm not as low on Richardson as you are. I think he ultimately, talent usually wins out, usually. And I have a lot of confidence that this kid's going to get an opportunity and hopefully do pretty well with himself. I don't know about longevity out of a type of guy like that, since a lot of his athleticism. I mean, those guys like Cam Newton, he just fell the fuck apart at some point.
He could, if anyone's gonna be an outlier against the numbers, it would be a guy like that.
Yeah.
This would be.
Levis, I do like Levis. I think everybody, there's always going to be those people that the media has overhyped, and I think the best potential for that in this draft class is probably Will Levis. Definitely cannon of an arm, but he in himself is going to be a developmental prospect. I mean, you remember Josh Allen the first 2 years that he was in the league. He looked like he couldn't hit the broadside of a fucking barn.
Yeah.
I'm throw the ball real far, but to who? To what? That was like he had an astronomically low completion percentage, and it wasn't until Duvall rightened his ass out that he became the all-pro player that he is today. So biggest potential to not return on that investment, in my opinion, is going to be Levis. Stroud and Bryce Young, I agree with you at 2 and 1. Houston's at 2, and I've done a lot of research on this quarterback class. Clearly, I'd rather have Bryce Young, but Stroud is anything but a consolation prize. He's going to have a very good career. I think his career will take longer to get off the ground. Bryce Young is going to walk in ready day one. Stroud is going to take some development, but I think he's equally as talented, and definitely a lot more. He fits the prototypical quarterback measurements a little bit better. So it's kind of give and a take. I'd be happy with either one coming out of the draft, but that's where I got my quarterbacks.
People don't want to talk about it, but of the two, Young and Stroud, Young, production-wise, has a higher ceiling and floor, but he's so small, how long is it going to be? CJ Stroud could be Jared Goff for 15 years or Kirk Cousins for 15 years. That's the worst case outcome.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to running backs. I know we're going to disagree here. I want to hear you.
You want to hear mine first?
I want to hear yours first because I know we are wildly different.
Yeah, I think so too. At my 5, I've got Tank Bigsby. Like the guy a lot, kind of a power horse, little guy, mediums. All the running backs are kind of just smaller. None of them will be a Derrick Henry type of big boy, but really excited about my number 4, a guy who I think is getting criminally slept on, kind of going in second round of dynasty drafts, and I feel like he should be a lower end first. Sean Tucker. I like that guy a lot. Just a physical little, he kind of reminds me of, what was that guy's name? He used to play for the Buccaneers, the muscle hamster.
I know who you're talking about. Doug Martin. Doug Martin.
Was it Doug? Yeah, he won't have a very long career, but I feel like he's going to be really fun to watch there for a while.
I like Sean Tucker. I can get down with some Sean Tucker.
I can too. He's a guy that when I had a second round pick, that's kind of who I was zeroing in on. But I have since traded my second round pick and a lot of my other picks. Number 3, I'm going to have to go with Gibbs. I think you've convinced me. I did a little watching a little film. I don't think he's the running back. I hate to admit it when you were right, but yeah, I do believe you were there. I think he's going to have Now, if he falls into a situation where he's the best guy day one, maybe he'll have an immediate impact. But I feel like he's going to need some things to happen.
So if he Chiefs, watch out.
That,
Watch out. Him in the Jerick McKinnon role, minus the blocking. Whoo!
that'd be nice. And it's gonna have to be a situation like that. Like I saw a lot of mock drafts putting him in New Orleans. I hate that fit.
Oh,
he is,
especially with Carr.
Well, he's not Kamara either. He's not built like Kamara. He's not as strong as Kamara. There's a lot of reasons I don't like that. But and I know I'm gonna fuck this guy's name up. Charbonnet, I got it too. I think he's a guy who's gonna rise through the draft process. Maybe not necessarily go over Gibbs, but I think he is ultimately the best tuned to be the running back too. And then clearly number one, I think we're both going to be in agreement on it. It's going to be Bijan, and it's. I don't think it's necessarily close between Bijan and the rest of them.
I don't either. All right. I'm going to have a full YouTube video with my top 10 prospects breaking down how I'm deciding what I'm deciding. We'll talk about it a little bit, though, for running backs. We didn't talk about it for quarterbacks. What I'm looking for, early declares that have averaged better than 6 yards per carry on their career, that ran better than 4.55, that had over an 100 speed score and 118 burst score, 1,000 yards by their sophomore year, 20 passes caught in one season, and a 15 touchdown year. So all these guys are going to have hit most of these metrics. Number 5, I have Deuce Vaughn. I have him as a high-end satellite. This is a guy who's not going to be an every down back. He's not going to play near the goal line. He might be Darren Sproles on steroids, though. He hits a lot of those metrics. He's under the weight metric, obviously, at 179. But I'm not worried about that as a third down back. You're not drafting him super, super high. If he falls to me at the back of the third round, I'm eating it up. I'm excited. So he's my number 5. Number 4, I have Jahmyr Gibbs. Again, high-end satellite. Some situations, he could be an elite receiving back, and I will give you that. These are post-combine. This isn't definitive. But right now, I look at him as a third down back who's not much more in a class that's really strong on the top end of guys who can play receiving and running roles that are good at both. Number 3, I have DeWayne McBride. DeWayne McBride is a sleeper. Coming out of UAB, this is a guy who's 5'11", 209. He's an early declare. He averaged 7.3 yards per carry. He did hit 20 touchdowns. He hit that 1,500-yard mark, and he caught 19 passes in a year, so he missed the 20 mark by 1. This is a guy who, if he goes to a Miami in the third round, if he goes to Minnesota in the third round and Dalvin Cook ends up being a casualty, he could easily be an RB1 based off of talent. He can handle the workload. He's a good athlete. I hope he runs the 40 at his pro day. He didn't do it at the combine. That's the only piece of the puzzle we're missing with him. Speed and burst score. But if you watch the film, he's excellent. Really excited for DeWayne McBride. Number 2, I have Zach Charbonnet. He's an elite plus prospect. I think this is James Conner, but beefed way up. A little bit more athletic. I think he's just as good of a pass catcher. He'll be a good blocker. Really, really good runner. He's not a guy that has a ton of breakaway speed, but from 0 to 10, he's an excellent runner. He'll probably not end up being a true 3-down back, but he does have 3-down potential. Again, think James Conner back when he had Chase Edmonds. Last up, Bijan. That's easy. He's an elite plus prospect, best running back since Saquon. He'll have a lot of really, really good years. I just hope he's not stuck in a committee.
Here's my thing with running backs, and when it comes to your fantasy drafts and your dynasty drafts, here's the thing with quarterbacks. We got a pretty goddamn good idea where most of them are going, give or take. But I feel like once you get to running backs, it becomes a very wide open, could literally end up anywhere. Nothing's out of play. I've seen some mocks putting Bijan in Detroit. I've seen some mocks putting Bijan, Baltimore, Philly, Miami, Dallas. There's really no holds bar on where a running back could end up. So it's something to pay attention to. I mean, talent's always going to win out in those situations. So a landing spot isn't necessarily a deterrent for me. Well, as a quarterback, sometimes, yes. But running back, it's not, because sooner or later that guy's going to get that opportunity and run away with it. You draft the talent, not the landing spot. But I just think it's interesting once you get down to running backs, they can fucking end up anywhere. They could end up on a team with a really good running back, and yeah, that's just what it is.
Yeah. All right, wide receivers. I bet we differ quite a bit here. I'll start. Quentin Johnston, number 5, high upside, kind of like the Will Levis of wide receivers.
That's fair.
Terrible. And he kind of smells like Treylon Burks. He might be really good. He doesn't have the contested catch and athleticism quite of a DK Metcalf. So he's not going to be that. So if he's a Treylon Burks, but maybe a little less agile, that's going to be a problem. So I'm a little bit worried about Quentin Johnston. Number 4, I have Zay Flowers, super high floor dude. He'll be a top 36 wide receiver for a lot of years. Think shorter Adam Thielen. However, I don't think he's ever going to truly break out into the elite tier of wide receivers. Number 3, I have Downs from North Carolina. This is an elite plus prospect. He's a smaller player. However, he plays much, much, much bigger. 5'9", 171, but plays like he's 6'2". 3.53 yards per target per team attempt in his best season. He broke out at 19. He had a 700-yard, 7-touchdown season by his sophomore year. He ran a 4.48. This is a dude that's going to come into the league and dominate. Again, a smaller guy, but we've seen recently that doesn't matter as much. Number 2, I have Jordan Addison. This is Calvin Ridley. Elite route runner, not great breakaway speed, great hands. He's going to come in and be a difference maker right away. He's a guy that can produce early. Pair with a problem. I got him with a guy like Justin Fields I'd like a lot. He gets open, all 3 levels of the field. He's not necessarily a burner, but he complements the roster well. Number 1, I have Jackson Smith and Jigba, elite plus prospect. People said Justin Jefferson was slow and only a slot receiver coming out of college because he played with really excellent elite boundary receivers. Well, Njigba played with Olave and Wilson. And then this junior year, he had Marvin Harrison, and they have another sophomore who's an elite receiver as well. So we don't really know. Talent wins out, and the film says he can play on the outside. So Jackson Smith and Jigba's 1. He's a guy that I think that he's the 4th pick in the first round, or he should be. And there's no reason not to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So for me at 5, I got Downs. Flowers. I'm sorry. He's definitely got the talent, but he's going to have to fall in with a good quarterback early to get on the board, so to speak, and be immediately productive from a fantasy standpoint, at least. Downs, you talked a lot about Downs. I do like Downs a lot. I think he does have, he has that it factor for a receiver, and I think definitely his opportunity is probably going to come. I think he's going to be a first-round pick. I think into the first-round pick. I smell a Kansas City there, or someone down in that range that can add him and immediately make him kind of like that guy that we all thought Sky Moore was going to be.
Yeah.
Quentin Johnston, for me, I'm going 3. He's a guy I like a lot more than you do. I think for me, I'm just a fan of those big receivers. He's getting kind of dogged through this combine, so I think that'll just make it a better value pick later on. Landing spot, again, I think it's going to mean a lot for him. Jordan Addison, he's a guy that I've been rising on lately. didn't like him at first because I thought he was just another Devonta Smith. But hear me out. Jordan Addison is Keenan Allen Jr., and why wouldn't the Chargers take him?
I like that. I like it. I hope he goes to New England. I'm all in on Addison. The numbering with him.
The numbers are good, and I say just another Devonta Smith. They're just so similar, but Devonta Smith was a wide receiver 1 last year, being the second wide receiver on his team. So all things are within possibility there, and I like Addison as a Keenan Allen type of guy. And another, my number 1, I think I've talked myself into Jackson Smith and Jigba. Here's the thing. He was pretty much out last year, most of the year. A guy that everybody talks about having talent. All the scouts are kind of getting in and out on him. I've seen him get mocked late first round. They did that with another guy, Jamar Chase, where they were kind of out, didn't really have the tape. He went high, performed high, and it just kind of smells like a similar situation.
Hey, do you remember when people cut him because he was dropping passes because the NFL ball was different?
Yeah, I remember that. Dude, that guy couldn't catch a cold all of a sudden, and he did what he did. So
I have a Rotojoes draft week trivia question for you. We'll see how well you looked at the sheet. Right now, there are currently 4 wide receivers with perfect analytical profiles, meaning it's all green. Who are the 4?
So I think I looked at the wrong sheet earlier, but I think it's probably going to be Jackson.
Correct. That's 1.
Jackson, Downs, Addison.
Yes.
Oh, shit. I can't remember the last one.
The 4th one's a fun one.
Tank Dell? No, I don't know.
Jaden Reed from Michigan State. The only nick on him is he declared as a senior. But that has, weight and declare year don't matter quite as much if all the analytics are clean. So interesting. Name to keep in mind, Jaden Reed. All right. Leave me with 1 sleeper. Any position.
Any position, a sleeper. You go first.
I know
you 100 of them.
No, I've got 1. Give me A.T. Perry from Wake Forest. 6'4", ran a 4.47. He's had a 30% dominator rating in college, a 23% reception rate. He screams DJ Chark to me, and I like that a lot. A lot of offenses need a DJ Chark. I like A.T. Perry a lot.
They do.
I have like 5. I've dove in. I have a shit.
You dove. He's just a guy I've been following a lot. I'm gonna have to go Sean Tucker, and it's not that he's a sleeper. I just think he's gonna return a much higher value than where you draft him. I think at the end of the day, if he ends up being the 3rd best running back to come out of this class, I would not be at all surprised. I see a little bit of Marshawn Lynch in his game, a little bit of that, just Doug Martin. That's the guy that I keep defaulting to when I look at this guy. Just a brute force of a running back. A guy that's gonna, think Dameon Pierce last year. That's the kind of comparison that he could get into the right system and immediately have a productive year. And the right system being the one where he's the only guy there.
All right, guys, we'll be back in a couple of weeks. I think we're going to deep dive into quarterbacks first and go down accordingly. So good times. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.